I read. Sit down.
Bring your chair
Okay. As we are streaming live. You ready?
Nobody.
I think we're going live.
I haven't noticed. It says meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. So.
Yep, me too. So our meeting is live now then. It says it's streaming live now. Okay. So people can see us.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't get my hair done today, so.
It doesn't matter that you didn't get your hair done today. Sit down. Okay. So hi everybody. We're hoping that we're truly live. And so we have Dr. Sheffield here, and she is going to tell us all about how to avoid getting scammed if you're a high school athlete. And Aaliyah is our trustee assistant. Say hi, everybody.
Hi. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm gonna kind of go through some points, and then we'll let Aaliyah wrap us up at the end with a few questions.
Okay.
So I always want to start by telling people it's not the coaches or the counselor's responsibility to get you a scholarship. So parents, you can't just totally depend on the counselors or the coaches. It's up to you, students and parents, to be informed. That's the first thing. Be aware of the requirements, and I'll kind of get into that a little as at the end. So what you have to do, you need to start in the 9th grade. If you're a senior watching this, you kind of might be behind the 8 ball. So NCAA has what's called the Eligibility Center. So the NCAA Eligibility Center, everyone that wants to get a scholarship and compete in sports must enroll in the NCAA Eligibility Center. And I'll pull some things up if I can share. The cost of that is it's $90 unless you're on free or reduced lunch. So you start in the 9th grade. Most of the time, the classes that you're taking towards graduation should go towards what NCAA says is necessary for you to be eligible to receive scholarships and to be able to compete. A lot of times we get caught up in the big schools, but you got to think about there are Division II schools, there are NAI schools, your HBCUs, your junior colleges, all of those schools give scholarships as well. Your job is to make sure you are in the right position academically to be able to receive those scholarships. So again, starting in the 9th grade, let me share. Oh, you gotta let me share. So right now, even as 8th graders, NCAA is partnering with Dallas ISD to start in the 8th grade. You can create a profile sheet in the Eligibility Center. It will allow you to you'll get emails about eating properly, getting rest, as well as what you need to be doing academically. So taking your core courses and doing all that okay, she's allowed me to share my screen. Let me figure out what I'm gonna share. Let me pull down. Let's go to this sheet. Let's do that. Give me a second. So this is a quick reference guide that NCAA says this is what you need to do as a timeline. Here you start in your 9th grade, start planning, taking courses. Connecting with your counselor. Your counselor will at least help you make sure you're taking the correct classes, okay? Again, here's this talking about signing up for your free profile for your Eligibility Center. Here's the website, eligibilitycenter.org for information. It tells you the requirements. It's a very comprehensive website, very easy, very simple. Your 10th grade, again, start talking to your counselor, making sure everything is on point, making sure you're taking the right courses. And we'll talk about what those right courses are. 11th grade, again, you should be taking the SAT and the ACT. Let's go back to 10th grade. 10th grade, you should be taking PSAT and PACTs or practice exams. So, and I think Monique probably talks about that a lot on her page, but as far as athletics are concerned, you need to start figuring out which is best. I personally, from my experience, always suggest the ACT. ACT has 4 parts as opposed to the 2 with the SAT. It allows your brain to stop, regenerate, and go to the next subject. So a lot of times we do better on the ACT. That's just things that I've experienced. And making sure that, again, you're on point, on task, is taking your courses and making sure you're able to take the SAT, ACT as many times as you want. NCAA does what they call super score, and they'll take the highest, your highest points for all your parts of your exam. So if you take it 4 times, we're going to take the highest score from all your parts. That makes sense. 12th grade, and you need to be real good friends with your counselor before they leave for school, making sure once you've graduated that they send your final transcript to the NCAA. Let's talk about the core courses that you need to take. Every school has their own separate list of core courses. So it's not a district thing, it's not a state thing, it's each individual school. So there's 16 core courses for Division I. I'm gonna talk a little bit about Division I because that's mostly what I'm used to. So you have to take 4, this is the path that they ask you to take to get to your 16 core. So you've got English, math, science, and a social science. Again, 10th grade, so you have to have 4 years of English, 3 years of math, 2 years of science. One has to be a lab science, it's very particular, and then your social sciences. So this is the path that you should take, 9th grade, and this is probably pretty much what you'll be taking anyway, hopefully. 10th grade, again, your English 2. 11th grade, here are your courses, and 12th grade. So this is the path that you should take. If you stay along this path, you'll do just fine. So let me go, I'll share a different screen that gives you this. When we say your core courses, the GPA that you have to have a certain GPA that goes with your test score. It's a sliding scale, okay? So let me share that one with you. Stop share. Let me find the next. I thought I had everything queued up. Sorry, bear with me. Let's go to, okay, so this is what I'm going, let me share this, sorry. NCAA has a guide, the guide for the college-bound student athlete. This guide gives you every single thing that you could possibly need to know about getting athletic scholarships. So I'm gonna kind of push through to, and this is what I just went over, the 9, 10, 11th grade, what you should be doing. This is your registration. I'm going through this, but I'll come back to some things. I'm trying to get to the sliding scale. Again, 4 years of English, 3 years of math, 2 years of natural science. One has to be a lab. 2 years, 1 year of additional one of those, 2 years of social science, and 4 of any of those other ones, which gives you a total of 16, okay? Again, here's the path that they like you to take, that they suggest you take. Here's the sliding scale. Your sliding scale, as you see, you have your GPA here, and then you have the SAT, ACT, Qs. So based on the core courses, the 16 core, not your overall GPA, they take the GPA of your 16 core courses and they go along with your sliding scale. 400 on the SAT will not get you into most institutions. So let's just stop there. But to go through the whole sliding scale, but mainly this is where a lot of our kids, an 800 a lot of times won't get you in either. So what you need to do is do the best you can in getting your scores above 800 and 900, because you're still competing with other kids to get into the institution. Now, my caveat is, unless you're a superstar, if you're a superstar, they'll get you in. But you gotta make the minimum with your, whatever your GPA is. Hopefully you're above a 2.5. You gotta be a great student. We push you to really be 2.5 and above 3.0 area. And then accommodating that with a really higher GPA. So you have to make sure you're doing what you need to do in the classroom, getting help, using your resources, start early on your SAT, ACT, so that you can maximize the number of times that you want to be able to take it as well. So then it gives you a worksheet. This is a guide, and I can send this to Monique and she can post this, that every time you take a class, you just kind of plug it in and you do the simple math to get you the GPA that you need. Because a lot of people get caught up in, oh, my GPA is 3.3, but if you take out those, if you only do those 16 core, it might only be a 2.6. So you've got to only use the 16 core that's listed on your institution's sheet. You probably need to first get with your counselor and figure out what are the core courses at your particular school. There's a counselor or either an assistant principal who should know that. Division 2 is about the same, but it's a little less. It's still 16 core, but it's different in what they ask you for. So it's only 3 years of English, 2 years of math, 2 years of physical science, math, 3 years. 3 years of additional, 2 years of social. And we say social science, that's like your histories, your governments, economics, those kinds of classes. And then 4 years of additional either of these. So there's a pretty strict sequence that they want you to do. And also, when we talk about Division 1, you have to have 10 of those courses done before your junior year. So you can't just wait till your senior year and just try to get it all done. So there's a specific progression that they ask you to go through. It's called the 10-7 requirement. Here it is here. So those are kind of just a big umbrella. It's pretty broad. I do a whole professional development on this with our coaches and teachers in Dallas ISD. I did that this past summer, just so they can be aware. But for parents, this is the information that you need. This guide, you download it, it's free. You go to the NCAA Eligibility Center, again, .org. And all of this information, this is probably a 40-page document, but it gives you everything you need. So for me, when parents saying they not know, it's really, I guess sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So, but Google knows it all. So you Google it, you figure out, you ask questions. Then that's kind of it. So we're gonna go to, Aaliyah had some great questions. So I will stop share and we will let her come in and go through her question.
Yes, this is Aaliyah. Everybody knows Aaliyah. We have some questions for Dr. Sheffield, and she's ready to do her part. You ready? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
How should high school athletes go about getting noticed for athletic scholarships?
The first thing I would recommend is getting all of your videos, even if they're homemade videos or highlight films from your coaches or whomever, managers, and put together a YouTube channel. And that should highlight all of your games or competitions. You could either have pieces of you talking about your athletic accomplishments, your academic accomplishments, so they can kind of get to know you and see your character. Character is important. But creating a YouTube channel and you send that out to coaches around the country. It's easy for them to just click on the link and see what you need. So, and that's free, as I know. So that's what I would suggest, Aaliyah, creating a YouTube channel.
A YouTube channel. I like the idea about you talking about yourself.
Yes.
And sharing more about other things that you do, about your character, maybe your volunteerism in the community.
Yes, community service, yes, ma'am.
Leadership roles that you may have in athletics or in the community or just anywhere. So just sharing something about yourself.
Yes, interviewing teachers so the teachers can talk about how great you are. So
you could pop them into your video. People who can vouch for your character. Maybe if you did a project with somebody and they asked you to come and help out, you could catch them on video real quick. You can do that with your phone. And get them to say, okay. That's a brilliant idea. That's clever. I like clever.
Yes.
Okay, next question.
Okay.
What sports do you get the best scholarships?
It's not necessarily the best scholarship. So we have certain sports that can only give 100%. I should say. So you have football, basketball, volleyball, tennis, and hockey for all your hockey players out there. They can only give full scholarships at the Division I level. All of the other sports have the opportunity. They can give you full scholarships as well, but they can break the scholarships up 50%, 95% to whatever percent they choose. So
Wow.
it's not necessarily a best one, but it's just how good you are.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There's just some rules. So,
Yeah.
okay. So Lily, your next question. She has 3 questions, everybody, and she's going to ask her last question. We were
Right.
very, very appreciative. Dr. Sheffield has a tight schedule. Oh, I turned the wrong page. I'm sorry, Lily. I'm trying to assist and I turned the wrong page. Ready?
Okay.
Okay. What should you do if you did not get a scholarship offer, but you talked to the coach?
So a lot of coaches call a lot of kids. It's a business. So they have to put as many feelers out and talk to as many kids as possible. They may contact 50 kids and only have 5 spots. So just because you got a letter, just because you talk to a coach, doesn't mean they're going to offer your scholarship. At some point, the head coach is going to come in, you're going to meet them, they're going to invite you to their campus. That means it's serious. But however, you can get invited to campus and still not get offered a scholarship. So at the end of the day, before you'll know when you get your national letter of intent along with your scholarship. Those are the 2 things that says you are getting a scholarship. They can talk to you every day, all day, but there may be another person at the last minute that comes in that they offer the scholarship to. So up until the moment that you actually sign your national letter of intent, you get admitted to the university, that's when you know, or actually show up on campus, that's when you know your scholarship is good to go, once you sign your letter. But if it's just talking, because even kids can, you've seen kids that'll sign several different NLIs to different schools, which is not a good idea, but they do it. Nevertheless, talking, like you say, talk is cheap. Show me the money, and that's your scholarship papers.
Show me the money. Got it. So I have a quick question for you, Dr.
Okay.
Sheffield. I didn't ask this at the beginning because
No problem.
But can you tell us a little? You have a really, really rich story yourself. Can you tell us your story, or maybe a snippet of your story of being a student athlete? And you have strong academics as well. Kind of tell us a little bit about your story.
I had a great group of people back in the 80s. We had the Dallas Track Club that really helped and guided us. I was fortunate enough to be recruited. I was recruited pretty heavily. NCAA allows you 5 official visits. When I say official, that means they pay for all everything to bring you up. And I took 4 visits. I took a visit to University of Florida, University of Tennessee, LSU, and I was on my way to UNLV. UNLV was a powerhouse at the time, but it snowed, and my mother said, "You're not getting on the plane in the snow." So visited all those schools. All of those schools were great. And this is a quick story about recruiting for coaches, and recruiting is a game. And the 2 schools that came down to for me was University of Florida and LSU. And I really couldn't decide. They were both great schools, both great coaches. But my mom was like, LSU is closer, you should go there. And I was like, okay. And that's how I made my decision. It wasn't any magic out of the sky. And I could have gone to either school and done really well, but my mom was like, oh, that's closer, we can come see you. I was like, okay, I'll go to LSU. And that's kind of how it goes. But the rules are very, very different now. The scales, of course, have changed, SAT, ACT wise, but really, I always tell kids to come up with a list of things that you need to make sure, does this school fit my needs? Have your list of things that must happen and your things that just deal breakers. And you have questions that you ask. And I encourage parents, go on the visits as well nowadays. Don't just send your kid off to somewhere across the country and expect them to ask the proper questions that they need to be successful. Have a list of questions. Make sure that those questions are asked either coaches, your best people, or the kids on the team. They're going to tell you the truth. Ask these questions and make sure. When I was at North Texas, my job was over academics. If you go on a recruiting visit and you don't see the academic folks, not good. Somebody's got to be able to tell you how you're going to survive academically, what resources are going to be in place, how are you going to help me navigate through all of this as being a student athlete. So those are some kind of tips. I could probably do series of recruiting things to do, things not to do, questions to ask. But you have to educate yourself, be knowledgeable. Don't just go to the big school. Look at the depth chart. If you're a running back and it's 7 running backs there, probably not the school you want to go to. Choosing a major, all of that, and it's tough as a freshman. And your parents may not have gone to college, or they went a long time ago. Things are different. It's gotta feel good in your guts. You gotta make sure, but you have to know what questions to ask so that you get the answers you need to make informed decisions. And a lot of times I'll talk to parents, they're like, well, I'll let them decide. No, parent, you need to be involved in this. You don't just let the 17-year-old kid who barely knows what t-shirt to put on to decide what he's gonna do for the next 5 years across the country. So be engaged, be involved, be educated, and sit down and have discussions together. Ask those coaches hard questions. Talk to those academic advisors. Make sure you feel good about sending your child to that school, because then those people are going to be raising your kid for the next 5 years, 4 to 5 years. So you got to feel good about it. And sometimes it doesn't work out. Lots of times it doesn't work out. But at least do your due diligence before you just decide this is what I'm sending my kid to this school just because. So that's my thing. Be educated, be informed, ask questions, ask questions. And just because you played college sports, it is nothing like it was when you went to school 5 years ago. It's nothing like it was 5 years ago. It's ever evolving, ever changing. So you gotta be educated. You gotta stay on top of these things.
So I took from that, parents have to be hands-on. That's what parents have to be hands-on. And that students need to be thinking ahead of time about what they're looking for, what experience they're looking for, and they need to be prepared to ask questions, not just of the coaches, but of the players. You have very clever tips.
Been doing this a while.
People on this team, they should talk to someone who's in academics. Ask them, how am I going to succeed academically? And I'm going to be laughing later, but what my mama basically said, I want to be able to come visit you. You're like, that's how I decided. But I mean, I think that was a very real example of you made a choice that was a gut choice for you. And obviously, you're very successful, extremely successful. Dallas ISD is they should be still celebrating that they got you.
I'm excited.
Really, we appreciate everything you do in the community. You guys in the Zero Debt College Project, many of those scholarships are straight from to me, and I try to post them as quick as I can. So now she can post. There's several of you who just come up with really good stuff. So we appreciate all that you do for the community, for the students, for the athletes, and you shared so many really rich gems. I'm glad we got it on video. I'm gonna be very careful about how I share this because I don't want to accidentally delete it. So, you guys, if you need to ask questions later, just post them to the video feed.
And I'll pop in.
Watch it, and I'll reach out to her. She can make sure that we take care of our student athletes. That's part of how we rumble, part of how we protest is having successful students who give back. And this is an example of somebody who's successful and then is giving back. We really appreciate you. Will you give a round of applause? Yay!
Thank you for your assistance, Aaliyah.
Anyway, all right. Thank you so much. Okay,
all right.
Log us off without messing us up. So let's see how I do this. Hold on. Okay. How do I stop the live, Lily? Do you know what we're doing here?
No, I don't do lives.
Okay, it says stop the live stream.